Hi, I'm Whitney.
And I'm Taylor.
And we're the Ghost Sisters.
Anyway, this is a brand new podcast that we've decided to start about all things paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And we're interested in doing this because we ourselves have had some experiences and we have done quite a bit of research and we're interested in doing ghost hunting. Okay, so I've done a bit of research.
I've done some research.
But we're interested in doing some paranormal hunting and that kind of thing. I've got a bunch of equipment that I got for Christmas. So hopefully this ends up being something that's kind of an informational plus experiential plus like, you know, people send in their own ghost stories.
All around fun.
And
yeah, like getting to hear other people's stuff, I think is part of it. Like, because whether you believe or not, it's always good to hear. There's some people that I've heard that are like, I didn't believe up until I heard about bull and that. So like, we want to hear everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a little background here. I'm a scientist and
I am not.
I tend to view everything very logical and I go based off of what I see and experience. There must be a logical explanation for. And if I can't find a logical explanation, then I loop it into the paranormal. And I've had enough happen to me that has not had a logical explanation that I have no other option but say it's paranormal.
I'm not. And I take a weird approach to it. I feel like there's some stuff that I'm like, nah, that's stupid. And then there's other stuff that I'm like, no, yeah, that was weird. That was paranormal. It can't be explained. But I don't have the scientific bit. Like, I'm not. No.
It became very clear whenever we went through like the research that we did. Like
our personalities really,
yes, very
shown
different
through at the time. Yeah. So I think we're going to start off with like, what is a ghost? And then the different types of hauntings, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
We're going to start with intelligent versus residual versus poltergeist. And then our next episode will look at demonic and inhuman and portal hauntings.
Diamonds. So if you're cool.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, most of us know ghosts are believed to be the things in sheets at Halloween. Really, the spirits of loved ones who have passed on, whether tragic, not tragic, or just spirits in general of people who are trying to move on. So when I was doing my research, I found some stuff about the Einstein's theory of energy cannot be created or destroyed. And people look to that thinking that then means that 100% ghosts are real. And you can look at it two ways. You can look at it your scientific way of like, yeah, well, it's true. It's a constant energy. But also look at it as if you're cremated, that energy then is going into the fire. If you are buried, that energy is going into the ground. If you're one of the religions or areas that do like the just free feed to the animals and planets and stuff, the plants, then that energy gets transferred to those things. So you can look at it two ways. Either that energy is spread out into the universe or that energy stays and then becomes a ghost and a spirit and either has unfinished business that it's trying to do or just wants to freak you the fuck out. One of the two. So
that's all they're here for. One of those two.
One of those two is freak you the fuck out. So another thought about it though is what happens to your soul. So there's a book by a lady named Mary Roach, which she's got some awesome books. So you guys should go check it out. Her book Spook talks all about what happens after death. She has another one called Stiff, which is all about what happens when you die, which is pretty cool. So go check it out. Anyways, there have been studies that have been done that go through and talk about what happens in the moment of death. What happens to the soul when you die? Mm-hmm. They've weighed bodies and noticed that there's a distinct difference between, at the time of death, they then are lighter afterwards.
Yes.
So the theory is that the soul has left the body.
Right.
But they've also had, in the ER, people that have coded on the table, like those doctors saying that they felt the presence of the soul leave the body and everything. Mm-hmm. So you can see it that way. And then there's other people kind of like Dad, who's like, you're dead, but somehow also believes in ghosts. So yeah. I don't know. So there's some theories behind what ghosts are and what they can be. It just depends on your belief. If you're a scientist, you may have one way of figuring it out. If you're like me, you're just kind of like, yep, it's a thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
So that's actually the weight that doctors and scientists have noticed. That weight difference is about 6 ounces. Mm-hmm. And they have no way to account for that 6 ounces.
Yeah. Cause when you die, you release
right. Everything,
like you poop and pee and everything. So like gases, like they talk about, like a death moan. Mm-hmm. And that's whenever you're burping or the gas is coming out of you, which I saw a thing on Instagram that, I'm missing my thing. Sorry, I just realized that the part to my hood, the cord is now missing. So I don't know what happened there. I got to go find it. Yep. Anyways, oh, damn, I forgot where it was.
You were talking about the...
there was a post on Instagram, and now I can't remember what it was, but if it's this person and they're listening, then, kudos to you, because I learned something. He said that death farts are awful.
I'm sure they are.
I would assume so. But anyways, that's neither here or there for ghosts, unless they have a supernatural power of farting, which, wow.
Yeah.
That would suck.
That would suck. So there's actually a really interesting thing that I've been watching a lot of paranormal caught on camera because of who I am as a person. And an interesting phenomenon that they've actually seen is at the site of car wrecks, like when the EMTs are there and there's an actual loss of life, they actually start to see white mists appearing.
An ectomist.
Oh.
See, I did some research, Taylor. When I was doing my research about residual hauntings, it did talk about ectomist, and it said that it forms when a spirit isn't strong enough to manifest into an orb. But it says that it doesn't come out of humans, so it's not caused from your breath and it being cold and everything. But also trying to do research on ectomist, then pulled up a whole bunch of video game things. So that's a thing. But
sure,
I believe what you are talking about
is an
ectomist.
Interesting.
See, I can do research.
You sure can.
Look at me.
Hot damn. So since we're in that, do we want to just go into the residual stuff?
I think so.
Okay, cool.
So everyone now knows ectomist.
Ectomist.
Anyways.
So do you want to, is that what you have for residual?
I have very small things. So
okay.
that was basically it.
Okay.
Continue on.
So residual haunts, also known as passive haunts, are basically from the research that I've gathered, and I'll put my sources out on the description and stuff so that you guys can check it out. Interesting fact. So I really tried to go about the research in a scientific format.
I did not.
I went on Google Scholar and tried to put in things about hauntings and demons and that kind of thing. And I got 1 or 2 hits, but scientific community doesn't do research on this and certainly doesn't get published in peer-reviewed journals.
My way of researching was, what link will Taylor click on? So what link should I click on? Because I wanted to get different stuff from you, just like ectomist. You did.
Yeah, I didn't have that.
So I think I clicked on the correct link.
Interesting. Yes.
So, yeah.
So Basically, these can occur from traumatic or stressful events like murder or rape. Negative energy can cause the atmosphere to record the event, and that's a whole other thing that we'll get into in just a little bit. But essentially, it plays like a tape recorder, just over and over again. It's just a recording of that event, and it's not intelligent. It can't talk to you. You can't interact with it. It's just going to go on and do whatever it's going to do. That being said, it can also be a positive event. So sometimes you can hear like laughter, or like there's a party around you, or music, or you can see entities dancing, that kind of thing. And those are not negative moments. Those are happy moments. But it was such a happy moment that it recorded itself into the atmosphere. So let's see.
So what you were starting to talk about that I thought you were going to talk about was the stone tape theory.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I don't remember who did it, but that was one of the links they didn't click on because it was one of the first things. So I was like, Taylor's going to know all about that.
I mean, I know about the stone tape theory in the sense that it's a theory that objects like wood and rock and crystals have the ability to record energies and play them back. Being a geologist, I really don't. I don't subscribe to the stone tape theory simply because I really can't. Oh, interesting. She pulled something up while we were talking. I really can't provide a mechanism for why that would occur. Just knowing the properties of minerals and rocks and atmospheric conditions, there's no way for that energy to be recorded, and there's no way for it to be played back. So or at least there's not a mechanism that modern science knows about for how that would work. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's what we're here to figure out, right?
Yes. So there's another part of that that has to do with water recording.
I read a little bit about that.
Okay.
I've heard a little bit about that.
So there's same kind of theory with the atmospheric conditions that, like, barometric pressure, temperature could have a memory effect to it. But I honestly think that it comes down to something more situational, not that the individual readings have the ability to put this in, but more that, if there was a thunderstorm in the area or it was raining really heavily or there were flooding, you might have a replay of an event that happened when it was flooding.
So what I was reading was it really didn't have anything to do with any of that. It was just, if a lady jumped off a cliff, then the residual haunting would be that same lady jumping off that same cliff every night at whatever time it was.
Sure.
But it had nothing to do with, was it raining that day? Was it not? Like, it's the same lady. It's just that image replaying. So what I was reading had nothing to do with, like, on the third Sunday of May at 12:15. It happens. And It had no interaction with the outside world. It was going to happen regardless of whatever was going on at the time. So
in all fairness, I got this from Zach's book. For those who don't know Zach Bagans.
Baggins.
Zach Bagans. That's how he says
Bagans.
it.
Baggins, but
yeah. But he has a book, Ghost Hunting for Dummies, and go out and read it. But yeah, I don't want to say anything bad and like get Zach on our asses or something. But there were a lot of things that.
But if Aaron's listening and he wants to pipe in,
hey boy. There were a lot of things that as I read them, I was like, I need to look more into this. Mm-hmm. One of them was stone tape theory. The other one was moon phases. It's a spiritual kind of thing that really comes down to your beliefs. Like, I don't believe that crystals, just because of the scientist in me, crystals don't.
I'm sorry.
Like,
I was remembering when we went to the rock shop and the lady was like, but I hear that this has healing. And the clerk was like, It's a
quartz.
rock. Like, ma'am, it doesn't do, it's a rock.
Yes.
Like, either buy something or get out of my shop.
Right. So that's, if that helps you and you are one of those people that subscribes to crystals and moon phases and all that kind of thing, more power to you, whatever gets you through life, because it sucks for everybody. So if that helps you in the end,
Bleak.
I know it was bleak, but it's kind of the truth.
Okay.
So one of the ones that I came across was the water recorded memory theory.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that it's put in Zach's book is Jacques, Benveniste. His name is just Jacques from now on.
Of course.
He was looking at basophiles, which he was looking at basophiles, which are an antigen reaction to, or an antibody reaction to allergens. Basically, it's the reaction your body has whenever you're allergic to something.
So you see ghosts because you're allergic to water?
Let me finish.
Okay.
So basically, there was a dye that he was using in 1988 that would turn inactive basophiles blue, which would basically allow you to discover whether or not somebody was having a reaction to an allergen.
Okay.
So the bluer it was, the less of an allergic reaction you were having.
Okay.
Okay. So he went through, and one of his lab techs accidentally diluted the dye in the allergen down to a point that the allergen basically no longer existed in this liquid format. And when they tested this person with this allergen solution, I guess, the person still reacted to it, even though there was no trace of that allergen still in there. So this
So that person's just a faker?
I mean, so it's a body response to it. So it's not like they're like placebo effect sneezing and stuff. It was kind of a blind study. So basically, they came to the conclusion that water has memory. And the way that it's put in Zach's book is...
Wait. Okay, so they came to the conclusion that water has memory by diluting an allergen?
Yes, down to the point that molecularly that allergen no longer existed in that solution. But then they took that solution. I know. They took that solution and applied it to somebody, and their body reacted like they were having an allergic reaction.
Or they're fakey McFickerson.
So I'm getting there.
Okay.
So he puts in the book that there were a lot of people that were able to replicate this. And to quote the book, the experiment was repeated over and over again. And since that time has been carried out by scientists all over the world. Although it remains controversial, most scientists will admit that water molecules do seem to retain memory of substances that they have been in contact with. This seems to lend credibility to the homeopathic remedies and by extension to residual hauntings. So I went down the rabbit hole with this.
Wait.
Yeah.
So by that quote that you just said, it has memory of substances.
Yes.
And I get people are technically substances,
right.
But also like, I'm not alcohol.
Right.
Like I drink it, but I'm not it.
Right. We're talking about energy input into an environment, not necessarily like my skin cell is going into a solution kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I have my own thoughts and theories, but continue.
Okay. So what actually happened with this, it did happen in 1988. They did go through and do all of these experiments and stuff. Jacques was a French immunologist who specifically wanted to look at homeopathic remedies independent of homeopathic interests. So basically, he wants to see if homeopathic remedies are a thing. So that's already kind of contradicting what was in Zach's book. This was done at INSERM, which is the National Institute of Health and Medical Research. It's said in a very French way. Institut National de la Santé et de la Recherche Médicale.
Jaja.
So the experiment itself was diluted solution of human antibodies in water to the point that no molecule of the antibody remained in the water solution. And then it claims that the basophiles in the human reacted to the solution just as though it had antibodies in it that would create an allergic reaction. This was only reported when the solution was shaken violently during dilution, which, from a scientific point of view, that is not replicable.
No,
you can't.
My violence is different than your violence.
Exactly. So,
and I got some violence.
Yes. So they offered no explanation to this. And what Jacques said to kind of, explain what's happening here is it's like agitating a car key in a river, going miles downstream, extracting a few drops of water, and then starting one's car with the water.
Okay. I feel like I need to be high for this.
Yeah, right?
That was a lot.
Yeah. So, defied is basically scientific community. They put this out there in a peer-reviewed, they were going to put it out in a peer-reviewed journal. That's a whole other thing. It gets kind of dramatic here.
The 90s were wild.
It was wild. Yeah. So basically, scientific community came back and said, this defies scientific understanding, and we do not accept this as any kind of scientific research. So they were trying to publish this in Nature, which is one of the most highly sought after reviewed journals. And
because it's water.
Well, because it's they feel like they had landed on something just absolutely foundation breaking. And so they were like, we're going to publish in Nature. Nature was very reluctant to publish the paper because they didn't want to give the idea that they supported homeopathic medicine, but they couldn't find any non-objective reason to reject it. Everything that they were wanting to base their rejection off of was opinion based. So
they were like, you're dumb, but all right, let's go.
Basically, yeah. They said, your scientific method is sound, so we can't really say no. So they published it in Nature Volume 333 on June 30th of 1988.
So this was still the 80s. It wasn't even the 90s.
Yeah, I know,
wild.
Right?
It was the 80s, which...
Yes.
Yeah,
so the editorial from John Maddox, who was the editor for Nature at the time, he said, there are good and particular reasons why prudent people should, for the time being, suspend judgment, which basically is saying, please take this with a grain of salt.
So when does this become supernatural, paranormal?
It's getting there.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. So John Maddox demanded that these experiments be redone by a team of researchers that he picks to supervise Jacques' thing. So,
Maddox is the guy.
He's
with the magazine.
Yes, he's the one with Nature.
I was like, you can't pick your own people to do your own experiment, but I understand now. I'm with you. Okay.
So he picks, because they were saying, this could be paranormal related. He puts himself on there, and then James Randi, who's a magician and a paranormal researcher.
Okay.
And then he puts Walter W. Stewart, who is a chemist and freelance debunker at the U.S. National Institute of Health.
How do you get that title? I want to be a freelance debunker.
I was like, I want to look up and see, what are the qualifications for that position?
Or was it just he walked in and he was like, hey, I'm a debunker. And they were like, you can't do that. And he was like, nah, I debunked that.
Right?
I'm a debunker
I'm a
now.
Debunker.
I debunked that shit.
But I feel like that's just a fancy title for a Mythbuster. This is just the Mythbusters.
True.
He just gets
Adam.
paid like crazy.
It's just Adam.
It's just Adam Savage in costume. So they go through and they're supervising these experiments. They did the original study's procedures, and they produced similar results to the original study.
Okay.
Maddox said the experimenters were aware of which test tubes had the antibodies and which didn't. Which means
experimenters were aware.
Yeah.
So not these three that you just named off, right?
Right. The people that are originally Jacques' team.
So Zsa knows, but they don't know.
Correct.
They don't know that we know that they know.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So they ordered a double-blind study where no one knew which was which, and they went super extra with it. They did photography of the notebooks. They videotaped all of the labs. Mm-hmm. They had Randy juggle the vials.
Okay.
They coded the vials, and then they went so far as to have Randy wrap the labels in newspaper, seal them in an envelope, and then stick them to the ceiling.
Good God, man, Randy! is working his ass off for this.
So they went through all of this. The original results could not be replicated. Shocking. So Maddox went through and immediately in the next issue of Nature published the debunking. And he said that there's no substantial basis for the claim that anti-IgE, which is the antigen they're testing, at high dilution retains its biological effectiveness, and that the hypothesis that water can be imprinted with the memory of past solutes is as unnecessary as it is fanciful.
Wow.
Someone figured that whoever was in the lab was playing a trick on Zsa Zsa.
That's what I'm saying. He's a faker. Faker McFakerson.
Yeah. So one of his lab techs or something was like, "Oh,
yeah,
this will be fun."
And now look what you did.
Right? Yeah. So
what a dick.
To research, it also came to light that two of the researchers were being paid by a French homeopathic company called Boiron. Boiron. B-O-I-R-O-N. Boiron. How very French. So the reactions to this.
Guys, if you are French, speak French. I'm real bad about it. I'm sorry.
I took French. I can do an accent.
I took German and I do French pastries and I still can't say anything.
Yeah. So once this comes out, Zsa Zsa gets super pissed about this, and he basically calls it a witch hunt against him. And he goes on Quirks and Quarks, which is a scientific program.
That's like, okay, that reminds me of like Luna Lovegood's father being like, Quirks and what?
And Quarks.
Quirks and Quarks. Like, no, like you're just making shit up.
No, yeah. So he goes on there, he complains about Stewart, he was the chemist and freelance debunker, treating them with disdain. And then he said that the magician was, Randy was distracting them with his magic tricks.
Randy, I mean, he kind of is a magician.
Yeah.
The guy juggled and he like climbed on the ceiling. Like, he's getting some magician shit out there. Yeah.
So basically, there was a little bit of a harsh feedback to that. And he came back on Quirks and Quarks later and said that was harsh and that Randy kept them amused. But Maddox didn't back down from what he said and grew frustrated about this whole movement. This study basically pushed forward this whole concept of homeopathic medicine works.
Okay.
And he was pissed that kept, like, even though it was very clear that this study could not be replicated, it had no scientific grounding, people still used it as a homeopathic medicine works.
They just left out that last part with the magician.
Yeah, basically.
So I assume you're getting to it. How is this paranormal?
Yes,
again?
I'm getting to it. So the future drama, Brian Josephson, he was a Nobel laureate, and he was very open to the paranormal. Like anything that was paranormal, he was cool with as long as he could replicate it. So he supported Zsa Zsa and said, like, if you can replicate it, I'm cool with it. Like I'll fund it. So,
but up until this point, it's had nothing to do with paranormal. So why is he even trying to fund it?
He's just open to things that don't make sense. That's just generally what paranormal is. So he challenged the American Physical Society to oversee Zsa Zsa and replicate the results in a randomized double-blind test. And then Randy, ever the jokester, offered to throw in a $1 million prize if they were able to do it.
Was it a 10-foot story that he put the results on this time?
Right. No kidding. Yeah. So APS said, fine, we'll do it. Zsa Zsa said, sure, we'll do it. And then they never actually did it. So U.S. Department of Defense ran the test and they could not replicate it. They could only get a positive result when one particular member was running the equipment.
Was it Zsa Zsa?
No, it wasn't Zsa Zsa, but Zsa Zsa recognized that yes, this was the case as well. So it leans more credit to somebody screwing with him.
A dick.
Yeah. So in addition to those studies, there were a bunch of other studies that did not find effect, and I'm talking tons of studies that found no effect, and basically it came out that this was a total piece of crap. And so this statement that we have on this about water being able to record anything is is not scientifically grounded. So
I was going to say, I have a problem thinking that whenever I turn my shower on, it's like, hey, girl, welcome back. Like,
right.
We don't know.
Well, and then you get into the whole concept of if water did record everything and you're taking water down into the sewers and then filtering it and then moving down the face.
I'm just thinking now it's like a poopy spirit. Like, I mean, I get it that shitty things happen, but yeah, like it gets filtered and it does all of that. I would think that would be the same as like putting your brain through a blender. You're not going to remember too much after that. Right. So
yeah. So basically I wanted to, when I read about this, I was like, you making some claims here, Zach.
When you mentioned that on the phone, I was like, I will save my thoughts for the podcast. Because like, I had some thoughts.
I'm sure you did.
I was like, I don't. Now, I do understand it as far as water can help increase like electrical currents and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes.
But as far as being like that water remembers who I am, nah.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Nah.
So that's actually one of the things that I had here was that water, since it's a good conductor of electricity, that perhaps it can help conduct paranormal energies in the same way it conducts electricity.
Okay.
I can see that.
Yeah.
But this whole claim of water being able to record something that it has come into contact with even for a brief time is not, it's not a thing.
And so I don't think I'd want it to.
No, like
you're learning a lot about me without.
Right. Yes.
So what else you got on Residual, or was that it?
Oh, I got a little bit more.
Okay.
Let's see. I've actually got a lot.
Oh.
Really? Actually, really, I don't, because it's basically most of the places that I found are saying the same thing as each other. Yeah. So, basically, it's like a tape, and it does the thing. So that's residual / passive.
And the residual stuff that I was reading about, like I said, it has nothing. There's nothing that you or I can do to stop it.
Right.
And I think we're going to get into intelligent, but like intelligent, you can try to do an EVP, but it's not going to do anything.
Right.
Because it's not responding. Like maybe you would get an EVP of whatever's happening at the time of the replay that it's going through, but you're not going to get anything.
Right.
Like trying to interact with it is not going to work. And they've said that you can even walk straight through it. Like there's nothing that you can do to change what's happening.
Exactly. So, and I've actually seen, I've heard a lot of people like, why don't we see, ghosts from the 1100s and stuff? And that's actually an interesting theory.
I had this question myself.
Oh, okay.
Like, do ghosts
move on after time?
Yeah. Like or do they get replaced by something, or like what? And then what happens to that ghost when the ghosts?
Right. Like, does the ghost die eventually? Kind of. Or
thing. Do they move on? Do they have? Because I think it's the intelligent one that I was reading about, that they were like, oh, they have unfinished business, or they choose to stay here. And I was like, I don't really know who's like, yeah, let me hang out for a while, for a few millennia. But then what happens afterwards? Like, do they just, all right, I'm done, peace out?
Right. Yeah. So one of the residual sources that I found said that basically it can be something like energy dissipating over time. That the recording gets weaker and weaker and weaker until eventually it just can no longer sustain itself and moves on.
So in that instance, if you go back to the whole theory from Einstein,
the energy is slowly being recycled out of that event into the atmosphere. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So continue on.
Okay, so that's what I have for residual. If
you don't have any more crazy water studies?
I don't. I did look. I really wanted to get into some like super dramatic, like Randy being like super savage.
It just reminds me of Family Guy whenever you Randy.
forgot about that.
That's all. Every time you said Randy, I was like, Randy.
So yeah, I really was hoping I would get into something crazy with stone tape, and then I looked, and it was just like, yeah, that's just stone tape.
Yeah, everything that I found, it was just like, there's a theory that like the stone is like, oh right, and then redoes it and replays it, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. So, on to intelligent.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So, intelligent or active haunts.
I don't have anything for this. I was about to pull my iPad out.
Oh, okay. That's cool. So I'll handle it. So basically the intelligent haunts are the ones that when you think of a ghost, this is what you think of. You're thinking of somebody that is actively trying to interact with you. And, it could be a loved one that has passed on that still has a message, or it could be, something attached to the house. It could be something attached to land. There's all kinds of things. But it's likely a person that is attached to a site or another person from a traumatic event, unfinished business, a sudden death, and they've not realized they're dead, which I think is one of the saddest ones.
God, that's terrifying.
Yes. Living loved ones that are so upset that they can't let go of that person. Emotionally connected to loved ones, or an injustice done for them.
How terrible if you were, say, killed in a very tragic way, and you're like, all right, sorry, my dog is making noise. She's upset for some reason.
She has expressed her displeasure.
But if you died and say like I died and mom was just distraught, but her being so distraught kept me here, like, girl, you causing more harm. Like,
right.
Chill out.
Just let me go. Yeah.
Let me be. Which I get. I'm not saying anyone is not entitled to grieve how they want to grieve. I'm just saying from a spiritual aspect, you want to move on.
Right.
But you're stuck.
Yeah.
So
100% I'm haunting you. Like 100%. I'm sticking around.
Not if I haunt you first.
Oh, damn.
Oh, bitch.
So emotionally connected to loved ones, injustice done to them, or a fear of the other side or judgment in the other side. So
if you subscribe to heaven, hell,
yes,
that kind of thing.
Right. Fear of getting up to heaven and being judged unworthy and then being forced down to hell or stuck in limbo. So these can have varying levels of consciousness, and they can interact in a bunch of different ways, from EVPs to manipulating equipment to draining batteries to manipulating lights. There's all kinds of things.
So more of the typical things that you would see in a haunting.
Right. Let's see. I greatly enjoyed, so Paranormal Corner, 4 Types of Hauntings by Kelly Roncase. I don't know. They put that it involves any once living creature, be it human or animal.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about inhuman hauntings, that we think of those more as
like angels and
demons and elementals and that kind of thing. And they included animals in that, and we were both like, no,
because the way that they had labeled it at first was anything that had not walked this earth, and that it said, i.e., angels. Sophie, oh my gosh, sorry, my dog is just like, what is this? So it labeled that as angels, and then it said animals, and then it went on to say like chupacabra kind of stuff. Like it went very far with it, and I was like, but an animal, like, they do walk this earth, and like they are not human, quote unquote, but they're not angels or demons. I mean, They are little angels, aren't you? You're just a little angel. But anyways, continue with your stuff.
So these are going to be more like things that will interact with you. So these are things that we typically want to help move on. So that's actually an interesting concept. There is, so I watched a lot of, I actually got caught up with it. Oh, actually, maybe I'm a couple episodes behind now. But Kindred Spirits with Adam, with Amy Bruni and Adam. Don't remember his last name.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. She's like, look up his last name.
I'm gonna look it up. Dear God.
I know. Yeah. So Adam and Amy, they are against moving spirits on. Instead, they would like to try to like bring peace to them. And if that causes them to move on, great. But if they choose to stick around, they will stick around.
Amy Bruni and Adam Berry.
Barry,
Couldn't
thank you.
Remember Barry?
No, I could not remember Barry.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, Adam, if you, for some crazy reason, happen to listen to this at any point.
But also like, hey.
Hey, boy. But they don't like moving spirits on because you don't know the religion of that particular entity, and it's not really your choice to move them on. It should be that spirit's choice to move them on. So really I think a lot of investigators in clairvoyance go into intelligent hauntings with a mindset of like, oh, well, we're going to move these spirits on so that they're not in pain or something like that, when really it's just about bringing them peace. So, but let's see. We've actually experienced some intelligent hauntings.
Yes.
I've experienced way too many intelligent hauntings, I think. But like I said, we have a bunch of equipment now that we're hoping to get to use eventually.
Yeah.
But we've actually caught an EVP before. Out
like a little girl singing.
Yeah, she was like, la, and
it was a little more than just a la.
No, that was really what it was.
Oh, I thought it was like a la la la.
No.
Okay,
It was just a little like, let's see. So these can appear as full body apparitions. Very rarely. It takes a lot of energy for them to be able to do that. So they're more likely to light things up on EMF meters or on REM pods or motion sensors. There's not really, if you can recreate that experience, then chances are you're dealing with an intelligent haunt. But if like, say, for example, you have an EMF meter and you say, can you make the light go up to red or something, and then it can't do that again, then it's likely a residual haunting. It's just something that you got close to, got into a pocket of.
Right.
These will often do disembodied voices or EVPs. Let's see. You can actually feel these emotionally. A lot of them will affect your emotions and sometimes even your like physical well-being.
Yeah.
It'll make you sick. It can cause pain if it died traumatically. It can actually cause like wounds, like let's say it gets hit in the head or something like that. You can feel pain where that occurred.
I'll say I'm an emotional person as it is, so I don't know
if you want to deal with that.
If I need any more emotions. Right. So,
well, and one thing that we've kind of gotten into recently is the possibility that we're both empaths in one way or another. Whitney used to be able to talk to ghosts when she was little. I can feel presences. I can't necessarily interact with them or speak to them, but I can feel when they're there. So even like as a scientist, that like saying that is like, that's dumb, but I'm like,
and see, we're back to me being like, yep, tracks, makes sense.
So, let's see. They are always aware of, well, I say they're always aware. 90% of the time, intelligent hauntings get mistaken for demonic hauntings by people who aren't aware of what's happening. Because it takes a lot of energy for the spirits to interact with you. And so if they're really trying to get your attention because they're trying to get something across, most of them just want their stories to be told. There's the possibility of you getting bruised or scratched or something like that, where, that seems like a very violent kind of event.
Really, they have no other way to get in touch or
right. Sometimes they just get so desperate to do it that they end up hurting you and they didn't necessarily mean it.
And now they're sad because you're upset and you just made the ghost sad. Like, how dare you?
They're going to call Zach.
Oh, no. I don't think anyone's calling Zach.
We got to start watching House Calls again.
Yeah.
So they... demonic hauntings are actually extremely rare. So most of these are going to be just somebody wants to get their story out. And typically whenever they get their story out or they've fulfilled what they feel they need to fulfill, they'll actually move on from the place. Some of them are protectors that
I say some of them are mean, which could also be why they get mistaken for demons. Because I mean, if you're a dick in life, chances are you're a dick in the afterlife.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's legit. So, yeah, it's just a 9 times out of 10, I would say it's just a loved one or somebody that's attached to that area that just wants to get their stuff out.
Or furniture.
Yes.
Stephanie.
Yeah, Stephanie. Whitney had a ghost that was attached to, we think, the buffet in her old house. And
I named her Stephanie.
Yes.
She hung out with me for a couple of moves. I think after my ex decided she didn't want to do this anymore. Or maybe she's haunting him.
Ooh.
Stephanie, if you're haunting him, hail to the yeah. Awesome.
Give that boy hell.
Yeah.
So that's what I've got for intelligent spirits. I have a feeling that a lot of the intelligent spirits that we're going to talk about, like we're going to get into that quite a bit. So
yeah.
Okay. Next is poltergeist and psychokinetic.
Psychokinetic?
Yeah, it's another word for poltergeist.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to what you have because I have one line of research on poltergeist. I mean, it's one line, but it equates to a couple more lines.
Okay.
So I guess, go with yours first.
Okay.
Except for, do you know what poltergeist, what it is? Like what it means?
So that's actually like one of the main things I found. It supposedly means noisy ghost.
No.
But whenever you go into the actual German meaning, it means rumble ghost.
Rumble ghost.
Which is more
Deutsch bitte.
Yes, it's more badass, I think.
Oh, I just said C. Yeah, Spanish, German, let's go.
Yeah.
All right. So that's I have guess one more line of research.
Okay.
So continue on.
Okay, so these have actually dated back to ancient Rome, which is fascinating to me. Like those, granted, ancient Romans were drunk all the time. They had things happen.
Ancient Rome was doing some shit.
Yeah. So it typically is an escalating kind of thing. It is normally starts with bangs and knocks and maybe some like objects moving around, but it can escalate to voices, full on apparitions. And it typically is the rarest type of haunting. So the interesting thing about poltergeist is that people typically equate it with an angry spirit. And it actually is more equated to somebody with psychokinetic abilities that is having a hard time reining them in. And they're actually manifesting their energy and inner turmoil in an entity that is causing all of this chaos. So it's typically revolving around a female in her teen years where the female is unconsciously controlling the energy around themselves. Sometimes it happens around people who are stable, and those tend to be empaths or mediums that don't realize that they're mediums. So once they learn to control their abilities, they tend to be okay.
Once they go to Xavier School for the Gifted.
Yes, exactly. So, let's see. Typically, it targets one particular person of the household, like if that person, so let's say that I'm the psychokinetic, I'm creating the poltergeist, and I'm angry with you specifically. It's going to happen more whenever we're in the rooms together.
Yeah.
Or you're in the area, the house kind of thing. Typically, whenever that person leaves, the other person, no one else will feel it. Every once in a while, it will be an entire family. Every once in a while, the entity will become so strong that it actually creates its own identity. And then you've got a big problem. Once you get to that point, you're not able to do it, or you're not able to control it. So typically people end up going to therapists. They do meditation. They work with Reiki masters to close themselves back down to control their abilities. Once they get medical attention, the poltergeist itself ends up going away. You can also get it whenever you have multiple spirits that are pulling their energy together in order to move objects. Because like we were saying before with intelligent hauntings, it takes a lot of energy to get someone's attention. And if you've ever, I know you watch Ghosts.
Yeah, that's
exactly what I thought when they were trying to move the base. Yes.
And the guy without the pants on is like, trying to move it.
So yeah, Ghosts can, if you have intelligent spirits, they can pull their energy together. Typically, you have to find the root of that spirit's anger in order to resolve it so that they'll, stop being dicks. And then sometimes you'll have one come in and be an asshole and then leave. And I get it, man. I've wanted to do that before.
I just want to come in, fuck some shit up, and then peace out. But I feel like that would be a more intelligent thing than a poltergeist, because that's I was a ghost, I would be like, haha.
Right. So one thing that I've noticed that I found in my research that was interesting, this was the who is it called? The Paranormal Investigators of Milwaukee, that they found additional information through research that poltergeist cases are most likely all hoaxed, mainly by the human agents themselves.
You got my one line of research.
Oh.
You bitch. Yeah, because I was going to be like, well, that's all well and good, but according to Pym, it's all hoax and just kids and people being dicks and moving shit around. And then being like, oh, no, it's a ghost. And really, they just need some attention.
Right. So, yeah. So it says, it is the official stance of Pym that there is no such thing as poltergeist hunting.
Yep.
That actually makes me think of, it was an episode of Ghost Adventures where it was a family and the family was terrified, and it ended up being this kid that was popping his toes or something like that under the covers to make these banging noises.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. The bed would shake and stuff, and
it was just all him just being a little dick about things.
Yeah, and I get it. Yeah, kids they're especially if it gets the attention once.
Yes,
then they're going to continue to do it.
Yes,
but also at the same time, we got a whole bunch of people that are studying all your shit.
Yes. Yeah, I would be pissed if my kid did that, and then I would be so angry.
Yeah.
So
well, you got me. I can put my iPad away. All right, let's go.
So really what it comes down to is poltergeist hauntings, I believe. I have seen some legitimate things that if they're not faking it, that shit's scary. There's actually a couple, I think they're in England or something like that they have water bottles flying around. They have chairs being thrown. There's all kinds of stuff going on. And
see, I haven't decided whether or not I believe in poltergeist. It's just in some shows.
Go ahead.
Well, in some of the paranormal investigating shows where they have like possessions or something like that. Not that I'm saying that possessions don't happen or anything, but at the same time, I'm like, how much bullshit are you feeding me right now?
Right.
So that's kind of my stance on it. Until I've seen it and I understand fully, I'm not going to say that it's real. I'm not going to say that it's not. But as of right now, I'm leaning more on the not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I am very much unless I'm the one experiencing it, that may be creepy as fuck, but it may not.
It's hard to tell. Yeah. And you can't believe everything that you see online and stuff. It's not that hard to wire something up, especially you've got the home automation shit. There's anything that you can do. Anything and everything is now capable. So
right. Well, and CGI has become to the point that, even artificial intelligence like DALL-E, it can create humans that have never existed. So we're in an age where you can fake everything.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons that we want to go out and do this, because we want to experience it for ourselves so that we can, which if they're
sorry, that's again, Sophie said hi.
She is very much interested in the microphone.
She is. Snapping.
So if the we want to experience ourselves so that we can say yay or nay on certain things. And we hope that the majority of the population is the same way, that you don't just see something online and then go, oh, this must be.
Right.
And you should always want to debunk it for yourself.
But if that's not who you are and you're like, nope, I believe because I believe, then right. Cool for you, man.
That's awesome that you have such strong beliefs.
So Sophie agrees.
Yes,
that big sigh.
Big sigh of belief.
Big heavy sigh.
Yes. So that basically covers the first 3 of the hauntings. I feel like we had a lot more to say about Residual than I anticipated we did.
You had a lot more to say about water, not about Residual itself. You just went and did extra research where you didn't need to, but we did get to learn about Zsa and Randy the magician.
The magician. I do what I can.
Yeah.
Always enlightening.
It was good. Yeah.
So it was just such a, like, I live for scientific drama. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah. Like that would definitely be something probably on Big Bang.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know everyone on Big Bang, but like the is it Kripke or something that he like, hello, Sheldon.
I think
or
so.
Something
yeah.
like he would pull Randy shit to Sheldon.
Yeah, 100%.
So Sheldon and Zsa.
Yeah.
So
to preface this, our mom watches Big Bang.
Yeah.
Like,
so I only know like the bits and pieces that I've seen, but I get the gist of it. And if I'm wrong, you guys can let me know that who would really be picking on Sheldon.
Everybody. That's my understanding.
That's what I get to. Yeah.
So that does it. That wraps up episode 1. We'll be back with demonic and inhuman.
Oh my God.
My brain's shut
and then
down there.
You said some kind of portal something or other?
Yes. I found a random thing about portal hauntings, which the more I'm looking into it, the more like everybody's like, nah. So we'll see.
So we're back to
you'll have to forgive my dog. She is being grumpy.
She also doesn't know how she feels about portals.
No, she says those are bullshit. So
I think we're going to talk a little bit about skinwalkers, but that may not be this next episode. It may be this episode after.
Yes, we're looking at episode 3, doing our first of our cultural features.
Yep.
I have a list of all of the different cultural entities, which if you happen to have a cultural entity that you would like us to look at, please let us know. Or if you have a ghost haunting that you think would be interesting for us to delve into, let us know. If you've got evidence that you want us to talk about, we are happy to do so. We're on all the social media.
She's got so many. She messaged me the other day and was like, hey, we've got a WhatsApp. And I was like, why? Well, we're not going to give that out. Sorry, guys. I'm not.
Yeah, please don't text.
You guys can DM us. We're not going to text.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right. But yeah, we're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Insta. The only thing, we're the Ghost Sisters on everything but Insta. We have the Ghost Sisters TX for Ghost Sisters Texas on Insta. Because there's apparently a new band called the Ghost Sisters, and
maybe we can collab.
Maybe
they could like do intro music.
Oh yeah, they'll make our new instrument. New intro.
I mean, our intro music is good, but like maybe they'll be like, "Oh shit, Ghost Sisters!"
Yeah. But the second I saw that, I was like, "Get all the So we have every social media you can possibly think of.
It's the Ghost Sisters or Ghost Sisters.
It's the Ghost Sisters.
So the Ghost Sisters at gmail.com. The
Ghost Sisters TX at gmail.com.
Oh,
they got our original.
Okay, so the Ghost Sisters TX at gmail.com. The Ghost Sisters TX for Instagram. Ghost Sisters.
The Ghost Sisters for everything else.
The Ghost Sisters on Twitter and The Ghost Sisters on Facebook.
Yes. And we've also got... Oh gosh, I wrote all of them down. We've got all of them.
That's probably, if anyone manages to find us elsewhere, way to go, guys.
Yeah, way to go.
But shit, you don't need to.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work. Oh my gosh. So we hope to hear from you. Please, reach out and tell us what you like, what you didn't like. You're welcome to tell me if I'm not funny, because I already know I'm not funny.
Oh my God. It's not that you're not funny. You're scientific.
Am I quirky and quirky?
No one does. The face that I gave her. Yeah. No one is as quirky as Zsa.
Zsa, yes.
Yeah. So we hope you guys enjoyed, and we can't wait to hear from you again. And keep it spooky.
Keep it spooky.
It's spooky.
I like it. The spookers.
The spookerookers.
All right. We will see you again for episode 2.
Woohoo.
Woohoo. All right. Bye.